StacyA McBain with Swope Investment Properties, and we have a market update for you. And today I'm giving you 10 takeaways of what's going on in today's real estate market. I would call the market interesting, unpredictable, and finicky.
What sector of the market?
The local real estate, single family, residential, fourplexes market. Buyers are not going big, and sellers have to go big in terms of delivering a highly presentable and very fairly priced product. It's not acting like a buyer's market, a seller's market, or even an investor's market right now. For selling, it has to be priced at comps, maybe on the low side of them. And condition is super important. Staging right now is more important than ever because of these finicky buyers. If you do all of that and you're a seller, you can expect your property to sell anywhere between 3 and 103 days. If it's a project, buyers want to be compensated for more than the cost of the project right now. There's an opportunity. Buyers may still be up against multiple offers. So all that being said, a buyer may have multiple offers and their agent and the buyer are not going to be able to predict how the seller or the seller's agent is going to respond because buyers are tentative. So they may not do a call for highest and best. They may just accept or counter one offer, maybe or maybe not, it's yours. Buyers are taking more time to make their decisions. It's just not as frenetic as it once was. And perhaps that is giving them more solidity in their decisions once they're made when it comes time for the inspection report to come out. And finally, I think that the duplex buyer behavior really sums up what's going on in the market right now. There are renters out there who are making owner-occupied offers on duplexes, which is the majority of the offers for those duplexes. And that's a very smart, financially conservative thing to do that shows that people are not buying big or outside of their means. They're being cautious. And that's what we're seeing in both the single-family home market, the duplex market, and the fourplex market. Our investor activity this year has been much lower than any other year. We've helped a lot more regular single-family home buyers because investors also are very tentative. So those are the 10 points and observations on the market. How do I share the screen? Do you remember? Usually we have some tech person who jumps up and helps at this point.
Play your Zoom.
And then
Share.
Yes.
What do you want to share?
The PowerPoint, please.
This one?
Mm-hmm. Oh, and I need to play it from beginning, probably. Or I mean, play it from current.
You're good.
All right. Thank you. Any questions on the market update or on the summary? If not, we'll go into some of the driving factors. Rates, interest rates have actually come down about 0.5%. Hi, Daniel, welcome. Since we last met here, and the 10-year Treasury yield is what drives the trend of the 30-year mortgage. And it is definitely down from July. It's at 4% or so. That's down 0.5%. And in terms of what we can expect moving forward from the market, Dave Rusk basically says, nobody knows. The Fed could lower rates, but it doesn't mean that mortgage rates will be impacted immediately. And predicting rates is kind of like predicting the stock market. But here's what they look like today. The single family 30-year fixed is just under, it's about 5.99%. So that's better than it was. It was at 6.75 the last time we met in July, since we took August off. And for multifamily investments, fourplexes, we're down to the mid sixes. And this is at ICCU. So they usually have pretty compelling rates, locally speaking. What do you guys think is going to happen? Think it'll go down further?
Movement mortgage is telling me that they're not even offering 5-year ARM because of the rates right now. Try looking into it, but.
Yeah, okay.
You can take from that they have raised it up. Yeah, yeah, they definitely do.
Didn't it try to do a 4% thing or what?
Yeah, part of that, yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
but that's short term, it doesn't affect there.
Yeah, this is what affects the mortgage rates, and you can see where it's trended so far. So when we met in July, it was up here. So seems like the word on the street and the murmurings of the expectations are there. And a lot of times buyers preemptively get excited about buying just with the expectation, or lenders' mortgage rates may go down even right before the actual 30-year mortgage rates officially hit. So in single family homes, our median is just around 560,000 in Ada County. And this is up, everything's up year over year. Days on market are up year over year, median price, number of homes sold, and then inventory is really up year over year. And of course, the laws of supply and demand, that's going to be a big part of those. And interestingly, the median price of homes is down from July in Meridian and Eagle, but in Boise it's up this month. So fun data point. And then in Canyon County, the single family home median is right around 430,000. So big difference there. Interestingly, I haven't seen, and Melissa can confirm, but the rent discrepancy isn't as it once was between Ada and Canyon, even though
We're gonna show that.
prices of homes are vastly different. So there's some opportunity there. A lot of new builds out in Nampa and Caldwell. And then in our duplex and fourplex market in Ada and Canyon, inventory is down, pending is down, sales are up, and absorption is all over the place. So we've seen a lot of things moving around, but like I said, we typically do a lot of fourplexes, a lot of investor transactions. And this year it was July or August. It was August when we closed our first fourplex transaction this year with a 1031 buyer, which is what we said. We're like, your buyer's going to be 1031. And that's who the buyer was. And this is what the fourplex looks like. This is at Ada. There's actually 13 active, 14 engine. Everything with a red arrow right has had a price decrease since it was brought to market. And I wanted to take this opportunity because I thought we had, oh no, that was, never mind. And in do the same checking into the price decreases, but I mean, in Ada, oh, that's what, hold on, sorry, recalculating. This was Canyon County. Okay, lots of price drops. This is what's available. Arrow means down. Okay, in Ada, not as much availability. We've had a couple sales, not too many. And I wanted to call out Brogan. It was still active at the AVID meeting. And we get calls about it every once in a while from folks who just have never met Brogan. And we're always kind of shifting them away from that fourplex. And when they ask us why, we have to try to figure out how to explain it. And so here is the front photo on the listing. And this is one of the reasons we don't help people buy in that neighborhood. It's you're buying half an eightplex. You've got a shared roof with someone else. And so, like, no thanks. And the parking's bad and they weren't the la la la. But usually when you're buying a fourplex, you want your own standalone building. And so that's why. But Tony Drost runs fourplex data all the time, every year, every month, since, I don't know, Christ was a corporal. And I like felt it. I'm like, oh, Melissa and I are thinking the thing right now. Tony has a lot of expressions. Yeah. So that's one of them. And so you can see here the average price. We had the lone fourplex sold in August. It was a 999. Actually, we helped that buyer. It was the only fourplex in Ada County that sold. No wonder we haven't sold that personally haven't sold that many either. It was 10,000 above the average purchase price, which is 909,000. The gross rent multiplier right now is hovering around the 170 mark, and cap rates are just under 5%. The 6-month trailing has decreased to 4.62%. And after a slow start to the year, days on market continue to improve each month. So currently we're at 2.5 months for days on market for fourplexes.
What is a gross?
The GRM.
Gross rent.
It's the easiest way to calculate quick value on your property. You just take your monthly rents. If you've got a fourplex and they're only rented for $1,000 each, you would just take $4,000 times 170, and bam, there's your value. It's a rough value. It's not how we price. It's how we do our napkin numbers, how we gut check. Yeah. And we look at other things like price per square foot on Ada County fourplexes. And this is the average price, which we talked about. You can see how that trend line looks. Here we are in 2025. It's looks like that. And then cap rates. Here's what it looks like recently. They've really been hovering in the neighborhood of the 5s for quite some time. And I think that those cap rates are part of why we haven't had as many investor transactions this year, because it's just not super competitive. As they started to decrease, we have a lot more investors buying single family homes, because you could buy a brand new single family home for a similar cap rate to a 20-year-old fourplex. And single family homes are easier in some ways, except for that whole lawn care issue, but. And so then Ada County fourplexes, they're not sitting too long, but 75 days on market is more than we've seen in quite some time. So they're sitting for a little bit longer. Okay, well, I'm not going to present the first rate market update when we have Melissa herself,
No, I'm not.
who will oversee Ryan's presentation.
We'll get them, buddy.
I'm talking enough later.
Yeah, they got some good data for you guys. I'm just gonna go over the leasing update. I'm the leasing manager here at First Rate, so I do all the leasing updates every week, do all the renewals, all that fun stuff, just oversee all the leasing girls that we have. And we now have some data from this year. We've kind of been waiting for this summer compared to last year. We're gonna go over that. So the market overview right now, kind of just like Stacy's talking about, it's stabilized over these rapid shifts over the last 2 years. I'm sure some of you remember when you were getting $800 in rent, now you're at $1,200. That seems like the norm. Just remember how high we were increasing. It was meant to break at some point. It's not dropping yet, but it's definitely flattened out, and there's some things that you can do to help with that. The days on market is creeping up a little bit. That's a thing that is a little bit different in the property management industry than the sales and buying and selling side of stuff. It depends. If people are marketing it early, whereas usually you market it when it's ready to sell, whereas we're marketing it when there's tenants still living in it. So that days on market number varies. We just really have our internal data to go off of. We have a wide mix of single family homes, multifamilies, and big complexes. So that definitely helps us. Overpricing, not adjusting, not looking at your properties weekly when they're sitting vacant is definitely going to hurt you. You gotta look at those reports. Are you getting no leads? You're just wasting your time at that point. Once you start getting leads, once you start getting some scheduled showings, that's when you know you're kind of in the right place. But if you're letting it sit for 2-3 weeks with 0 inquiries or 0 showings, don't waste your time. The data is showing that you need to adjust. Advertising and leasing strategies that we use, like I said, early, aggressive advertising is critical. Yes, we love to test the waters. That helps when we're doing that early advertising, but at the same time, we'd rather lock a renter in instead of risk it sitting vacant. So just keep that in mind. Tenants do plan ahead. So, it's just my theory, but a tenant that's planning ahead, getting an apartment, has all the funds available, might be a little bit better of a quality tenant than one that's scraping funds together, waited till the last minute, moving in that day. The one that plans ahead might plan for their rent a little bit longer. So keep that in mind. That definitely helps when advertising early. And now we got to use high quality photos. We do professional photos. We do virtual tours of the place. people all the time. Love the virtual tours because you can see the property, its layout, without being here in person if they are moving from out of state. We're starting to use this really good new floor plan app that spaces it out, tells them the foot, like square footage and stuff, so they can
Dimensions.
Yeah.
Tested it here, that's exactly.
Yeah, and there's tons of apps. Like I went and there's a new property that we haven't listed before. I had to go take an exterior picture, tenant's card right in the middle of the picture. Jim was able to use an app to make that car disappear. Does it look perfect? No, but it looks a lot better than it did, and that's free. There's just a lot of tools out there to use. If your marketing's bad, you're gonna have a really hard time running it. That's just the standard nowadays. So keep that in mind. And fast response times too. We're really big on this right now because we're getting a little bit lower on our properties, but we don't want to lose somebody to that next person. If they're answering and they're getting approved ahead of time and you're waiting a day or didn't answer them right away, that's somebody that you could have lost. And right now we're looking for those people. So make sure you're getting back to them in a timely manner, treating them with, customer service, because they're picky. They have selections right now, just like those buyers in that market. They're picking and choosing, with those little upgrades, little features, and we do detractor inspections all the time. So if places are sitting actually vacant or we have keys and not a lot of action, we're going to those properties, checking them out. What are tenants seeing on their side that they might not be saying that's deterring them from this property? So just make sure you're stopping by them if they're vacant. The next thing we went over, I shouldn't. Do you guys have one of these in front of you too?
I didn't print these.
Okay. So, we'll print a flyer for you guys that you can take home too. That kind of goes over all this, and there's some good data on there about our days vacant that kind of shows where the shift happened this year.
Oh, yeah, you've got a slide, the next slide
Yeah.
on that.
We kept a lower vacancy rate this year. That was, I'm sure you guys have been here a couple months ago that I talked about kind of these same things. The data showed that it worked. We corrected real quick for a higher vacancy rate just because we see that shift going on, and we'll look at that in a little bit. This is more valuable than ever. The next thing to talk about is we looked at that early in the year. We saw that last year. So we weren't going to sit and wait around until we had 150 on the market. We decided, how can we get these people to stay? If we were going to list it at a cheaper price, we were going to go to that tenant and ask them, hey, if we drop it, are you willing to stay? So you just got to be proactive. We've talked about incentives like renewal carpet cleanings to keep up with the property, and it helps your property. Doing small upgrades like a sink, a ceiling fan, updating a light fixture. Those little things just kind of show. And there's a lot of property managers out there that do charge their tenants for renewals. So that's kind of a reason to stick around with you, is showing that you care about their tenancy and you're not willing to nickel and dime them every time they're trying to do something with you. Small upgrades, yeah. Concessions, that's another one we want to talk about. We do a lot of move-in specials. It does work. It lets us advertise it at a lower price. We get on more people's radar. Yeah, people don't want to pay rent. They still have to qualify for the place. So we're not setting up for failure at all. But they might not have looked at your property if there wasn't a special on it. But long-term, we're seeing a little bit more turnover with those people that are on the discount versus somebody that's willing to just drop the rent. So keep that in mind when running these specials. Yes, it'll fill it quickly, but there is a higher turnaround amount, or at renewal, be prepared to drop price a little bit, just because in the back of their head, like, oh, you were willing to accept that price for 3 months. Why not moving forward? But find that happy median. $100 is really that increase that we don't like to go over unless obviously it makes sense. But $1,200 over a year, somebody might move over that. 600, maybe not. So just be careful with your guys' increases and running those specials.
Sorting the market rent too, Brian, we've noticed that with the specials. So we have a lease type at a higher amount, but they got the special off to 3 months or whatever you did. So when we come around for renewal, that lease is dictating that market price, and that's maybe not where it's at. And so tenants are like, well, I can go to another property cheaper. So we've had to have some of those hard conversations with some of our owners. It worked to get them in, but if we just would have lowered in the beginning and not done the special to begin with, probably would have not improved the tenant.
Yep.
Yep, and we're just seeing that this year, so it takes a year to go through those and be like, oh, this is the effect of that, so.
Yeah, and people are looking, I mean, it's 2025, like people have access to the internet everywhere. They're looking, they're seeing that the vacancies next door and they're checking the prices on those. So just make sure you're keeping in mind, you know, what people are paying, or when their renewals come, what did you rent it for last time? Don't try to just renew them at that high price again. Maybe try to lower it a little bit to keep them to stay. It's gonna help you in the long run, especially with turnover costs right now. Some takeaways for you guys, is just in the near future, just plan conservatively. Like we said, rents have flattened out. If they shoot back up, great, but I wouldn't prepare for that. So just be conservative. Like we said, marketing is gonna make that difference. There's AI out there, there's professional photos, virtual tours, staging, like she said, we're gonna try some staging stuff with ours. It just helps get that visual of the property. I like having both photos if it's staged and not staged. That way you can see both visuals, but people are doing that nowadays, so don't fall behind. And there's a lot of free apps and stuff out there that can help you dig deep. Like I said, renewals, that's gonna help you in the long run.
Ryan, are you seeing, I saw the laws changed in Michigan or somewhere else that, Zilla's doing actual rent price after utilities that are paid are factored in? Have you seen anything like
Well,
that
that's
around
only if
here?
they report,
Yeah.
and for a state like Idaho, that's really hard, because we don't, as a property manager, we don't have to be a licensed agent like every other state in the United States, so there is no MLS info to go off of, because we're not agents that have put that stuff there, because we don't have access to it.
Hmm.
So I
Yeah,
don't know about that, Stacy.
So 50
They would have, someone would have to
something
report their
like
data.
Like a net.
Yeah, and yeah, they'd have to have.
They'd have to
net
report
data,
it.
Yeah.
and that's hard here, cause like we don't get the bills when the tenants pay them, so we don't really know what it
Yeah.
costs, and everybody's different what they use. That's why we stick away from flat fees. Or like we don't charge HOA fees separately, like that's just included in the rent to make sure you're not.
My guess
playing with
is
fire.
Zillow's gonna go off of their own rentals that they're trying to buy. That's a big thing in the Zillow world.
Yeah, or
They're
maybe it's
literally
for
trying to
other
become a
fees.
property manager, so.
Yeah, and a realtor. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know those tax fees as well, because now some of the fancier complexes have like
Yeah,
a technology fee or a tenant convenience fee. And they're just like creating a bunch of junk fees and giving them fancy names and tacking it on top of the rent.
mhm.
And so
Yeah.
maybe that's what Zillow's adding up to call your actual net rent, but,
But people would have to report that, and I can't
Right,
imagine they're just gonna
right.
say, here's Zillow, take all my data. No, we don't do that. We're lucky in Idaho to get that with NARPM to some degree, but
Yeah,
I know we would never be sharing our information.
yeah.
I don't even know how they would get it, that's, yeah, neither does weird utilities.
What are you seeing on, maintenance costs? Since you're trying to retain tenants, you have to take a little bit of care. Has it gone up and what's it running for people?
Yeah, and this will be a good probably follow up for Jim, but on my side of things, yeah, I mean, it's going up a little bit. Getting stuff in bulk pricing, you know, like a lot of our preventative stuff definitely helps keep those costs down. We can get a water heater flush a lot cheaper than a one-off for a person, so those definitely help. But yeah, I've definitely seen maintenance go up. We have in-house maintenance to help control that where we can, but you want to touch on some of that with the vendors?
Yeah, so our biggest push is, yes, prices, your labor and your general parts labor going up, so we're really taking a proactive approach. So we'll do a whole, water heater replacement if they're of age, you know, it's an opt-in, opt-out. For dishwashers, we're big on the water alarms now, they're a little missed, and we've had probably 30 this year that have gone off under a dishwasher behind the washing
The
machine.
state of flood, right?
That saved flood, yeah. So, that were our actual expenditures from 2023 to 2024, were actually flat comparatively, more than general it's higher. So, some of that's probably due to those both discount and proactive approach. So that's but we have the power of our 1,100 floors as to where it's a lot easier to get. If you do have a lot of units, we just source bulk through Home Depot, through Lowe's, occasionally through Alibaba, which is a seas thing. Depending on the park, we don't get stuff from there that's delicate or important part, like we're not getting water heaters from there, the bigger shows, but you wouldn't get that from.
Like switch cover.
Yeah,
It comes
the
from there.
covers and some of that basic stuff, yeah, get important. You can look at.
And shop the vendors too. Like there's tons of vendors in the Treasure Valley. We're lucky to be a part of an association that has a group of vendors that we can kind of choose from and know how to work with property managers. But shop around, you know, we're back at that stage where we had a lot of good vendors for a long time. But there might be a better option out there. And if that's better for the owners, like we have to go down that avenue. So make sure you're checking around, asking other vendors for referrals. A lot of these people refer other types of vendors that do good work. So
It's important to, don't be, I don't wanna say cheap on your maintenance, but don't be reluctant to fix something, because that is still the number one reason why tenants are dissatisfied in their rental.
Yeah.
So it's just like the rental price, we're saying you're stuck on $100. Fix something or upgrade something if you can proactively before they're like, oh, they don't fix X, Y, and Z, I'm gonna leave, then you have a turnover, and then your expenses are even higher, plus your repair, so.
Yeah.
Maybe don't be cheap is the right message, but I can't think of a
Better
better
way
way
to
to
say
say that.
And I have a pointed question.
Yeah.
So once you talk about it, is, are you recommending short-term leases, long-term leases, both options, 1 or 2 years, what are we?
yeah, this year we started offering longer term leases just because we're trying to lock people in for longer. We don't want to have that renewal next year, knowing that we're going to be fighting to renew them, expecting to.
Mhm.
So we're doing those longer terms. We're doing it at a cheaper discounted price. That lets us advertise it at a lower price as well. Clearly, the advertising states it's $50 more if you want to do the one into 2026 instead of 2027. That's another thing to think about, being a little bit flexible with those lease terms. We obviously only want to do it in the hot time, but if you're stuck on 1 month, be a little bit flexible right now, because that might be an incentive for somebody to move in versus not.
Brilliant, like 2 year,
Yeah,
2 long.
yeah. So into next summer. So it wouldn't be an exact 24-month. It goes into next, or the 2027 summer. And then we always base it off of that owner's portfolio. We don't want to stack all of their renewals up in 1 month just in case.
For 2 years, and they terminate early.
Hmm.
What are the penalties for the
Yeah.
recovery for that lower rent?
So in our lease agreement, they have to compensate you for that. If you do decide to drop price, or if you gave them a special when they moved in, they have to give you that money back. So we have a lot of stuff in our lease break avenue that covers you as the owner. They're going to start paying for showings. They're going to pay for advertising, the rekeying fee, because that's none of your fault for them breaking their contract.
Oh, you offer the long-term rent.
We offer it on pretty much every property right now.
We stopped when it was going so high.
Yeah,
for
we
like-
wanted to adjust.
So now, but our data has shown that it's not going to peak, and I doubt it will peak next summer either, so why not lock them in? Because if the market drops, you're better sitting at that 24, or like right now, we would do an 18-month lease.
What kind of percentage do you get to change it?
Of
course, so that's new to me.
Yeah, I mean, not everybody does, but I would, and it kind of depends on if it's an apartment versus like a single family home. We see less of it in single
I'm
family
thinking of the apartment.
apartments,
Of the apartment.
Yeah.
What kind of percent?
probably like 30, 40.
30 to 40%. More people are opting into this because they don't want to move. They don't want to come up with another deposit or whatever. And they're also nervous because they're not educated in the same way that, and you as investors are. So what if it does go up? They're thinking, I know my rent's gonna be this for 24 months.
Yeah, you're on this cusp where people are used to seeing rents go up, and it'll take them longer to realize rents come down a little.
And I
That's
know a lot of
really a
people are
tactic.
really nervous about, well, what if I need to get them out? I promise you, there's people out there, or you hire a property manager that knows what they're doing. Idaho is a very easy state to get somebody out. You just have to do it with rent. So you've got to be able to give them a lease violation or charge them for something they're not doing. So the lease is important, and you allocate those funds to that, and then they don't owe you rent, and then you evict them. I have not had an issue yet in my 15 years getting someone out that we had to that was in a long-term lease. But I also can't think of one we had to get out early because they were a problem.
Yeah.
Either.
Like you said, from a renter's aspect, like, oh, my landlord jacks my rent up every year. It's
Yeah.
kind of nice knowing, hey, I have this consistency until I can
That's
figure
their
it out.
perception for sure.
Yeah. Especially when things are going down, and there's a ton of options. Like as a renter, if you looked on Zillow right now compared to 2 years ago, you can pick and choose anything. There's apartments with amenities, they have pools, they're in great locations now. So it's just a lot different and just gotta make sure that you're keeping up with it. This chart right here is a good visual of what we talked about. If you guys were here earlier in the year and we said that we were gonna do all these things. The blue line is this year and the orange line is last year. This year we were higher starting off the year and we saw that. So we came in here, we did all those certain things and you could see right in the middle of summer that flipped. We are now lower vacancy than we were the year before.
And that's not, that's first rate.
Yes.
Yes, that's our data, and those are some things, like I said, to keep in mind is that single family is different than multifamily. We try to, and then like there's other things like we take on vacant properties all the time. And when those are sitting vacant right away versus ones that were pre-leasing, that also affects it. When people break their lease randomly, that also affects it. So there's a lot that goes into it. You can come up with a different number any way you do it, but we just have a lot of internal data to go off that kind of helps with that. Get a solid number.
So is this both, the single family and multifamily?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, this is,
Smart acre.
All your total.
Yeah. We do it
Yep.
all together. We don't separate them.
yeah, because most of our strategies are the same between those. But yeah, this is all that data together.
This, you're talking about on properties with maybe fourplex versus a pool or amenities. Not having a pool, how much is that driving the market, those amenities?
Yeah, I think, and I remember you had a good analogy for this last time. What do you call those people that like will pay extra but never use it?
Oh, it was someone asked me, the Idaho Apartment Association guy says, well, do you have an Instapot?
Yeah,
Do you want to own an Instapot? Now, do you actually use your Instapot? No.
exactly. So people, it's really enticing. I don't see them paying a ton more, but I see them picking those places over other ones that might not offer it. But there are people out there that are moving into those newer communities downtown and over off Franklin, Rose Hill area.
That's where price point can get you. If that's really an advantage to you as an investor, if you don't have those and you get at the right price point, people still have to qualify, they still have to be able to afford to wait.
Yeah. We saw like what Stacy was talking about earlier with the single family homes versus a fourplex, just because the cap rate. We saw that a little bit. We took on tons of single family homes, CBH homes, and the maintenance on them is a big thing. You have that year warranty. We're really good with working with Hubble and CBH on those items. But you have a lot more security with those homes than these other ones where you might have a pipe burst in the wall because it's 20 years old. So we definitely saw that as well. Is there any other questions?
How about lawn?
Yeah. Laundry, it's definitely an amenity. I recently moved out of a place because I had no laundry room. It was a pain in the ass. So I noticed it once I moved in. I don't think that a ton of people like the shared laundries and stuff. Do you know, are we making a ton more money off that than we were in years past?
Hookups, are you talking about providing an actual washer and dryer?
Oh,
Offering actual.
yeah, it's a benefit. It's one of those things right now that somebody's gonna pick your apartment over it versus something else. It's an amenity that's important.
They do like it. If you ask me, I say don't do it.
Yeah,
Because then they're responsible if it leaks or something happens because of their unit. And
They're
they
not
pick it up.
responsible.
They are.
I know, but they're not
Well,
responsible.
I know, but I'm saying like, that's where liability coverage would cover that.
Sorry, I have a question also.
Yeah.
What's how much do you guys normally charge for?
I think it's like, it depends on the complex, but I think it's like $1 or $1.50.
Oh,
And we have Taylor Brothers that does it for us, and that's I think it's Taylor Brothers. Thompson.
Yeah.
Your brother's.
With the fire extinguishers.
Oh.
Yeah,
But to answer your question, Bruce, they want laundry in their unit.
yeah,
And I'm kind of with Melissa, like, as long as it's hookups, they can bring it home.
yes.
If it's an apartment and you gotta have stacked washer and dryer, you should.
Or upstairs versus downstairs.
Or, yeah.
Yeah, if your laundry room's upstairs.
Plan B would be, on site. People don't love on site as much because people messing with your undies or whatever the case may be. But they do like at least the laundry option. We definitely see that and that's a help. So that laundry probably matters even more than like if there's a pool or other community.
Yeah, 'cause they use those all the time versus they want to use the pool in the gym, but they're not going to.
We had some people on Lee Street,
Mhm.
and they moved over on, No, they're on these departments, and they moved over on Park Center because they had a pool.
Yeah,
Mm.
yeah, and that's,
You're gonna spend $600 more a month. For
Our-
a pool that you're gonna use 2-3 months of the year maybe.
yeah, and we track that data. We ask tenants why they're vacating from the property, and it's not, my rent's too high. It's, I'm moving to a bigger place. I'm finished school. Like there's a lot of different reasons right now. Yeah, and it's not really rent being high like it was during COVID when we were jacking everybody's rent up. So,
I'm just saying, I'm trying to buy another property right now to actually like live in. And the pool properties, I know I'm gonna hate it, but they always draw my attention.
Yep.
Because it's a swimming pool in my backyard.
yep. Yeah, you don't take care of
it.
Let us know the address.
Yeah,
There's one printed out in front of you.
Yeah,
Great price. You
I know, I was like, so.
change
you
that
can look.
wallpaper, it's worth 1.2.
There was a house in Boise that I looked at and I was like, this is not what I want. This pool is so beautiful.
Pretty cheap per square foot though.
Oh, yeah, so much.
Come on.
We've done a house with the whole thing. You know that joke about the happiest day of your life?
Oh.
When you move away from
The house
pool.
with the pool.
yeah. We have houses with pools, and it was really desirable this summer. Which I didn't think so, because there's a lot of communities that have pools, and like you say, you don't have to do the maintenance on them, but that one snatched up right away.
Yeah.
There are people out there that,
They seem to go fast, honestly. When I see the houses with pools, I feel like they're on the market for way less time than other houses.
yeah, I think a building one nowadays is probably not feasible for most people.
Well, let's wrap up
Cool.
this rental market update, except for last
Yeah.
questions.
For vacancies, what is the common like amount of time that you have properties, like single family homes?
I think you guys are,
We're gonna touch on that.
yeah, they're gonna have a slide that goes over that.
Oh,
Yeah, and like I said, just remember, everybody's data is a little bit different, so
Right.
just depends.
No spoilers. Ryan Yost, First Rate Property Management's leasing, bigwig.
Yep.
He does a great job. He is a huge resource to the Boise Investment Properties team. We call him for help with our investor clients to get rental rates, and they love it. And they really appreciate you. So thanks, Ryan.